I have joining me now live from Asaba, the Delta State capital, via Skype. He's the Chief Economic Advisor to the Governor of Delta State, Mr. Kingsley Emu. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Emu.
Thank you and good afternoon.
Yes, first, the concession of Asaba Airport is said to be the first of its kind. Could you please walk us through the process that led to the concession of this facility?
Okay, yes, it's the first brownfield in Nigeria and may likely be the first brownfield in its unique way in Africa. Yes, we started by getting a transaction advisor. First is to conceive the fact that we needed to develop this airport. Airport is a major infrastructure that a government, any responsible government should establish to attract development. And that started. And Asaba International Airport was designated as International Airport and a cold room at that. And given a special and privileged position as a gateway to Southeast, then it became profitable by way of a business plan to set up that airport. And as government, you don't always look at profit. You look at improving on the infrastructure that will create multiplier effect in the system. So the next level for us, having seen the level of traffic in this environment and to take it to the next level, was to get a transaction advisor. We conceived the idea of concessioning and then got a world-class transaction advisor who eventually put up a bid that attracted the world best. First is Menzies and FITC. And the other group was another group that is another syndicate group. Of all of these groups, Menzies and FITC became the preferred bidders after a very competitive bid. Menzies Aviation is a global player and specializes in passenger ramp and cargo services. This is what they provide all over the world, and they are very reputable. Today, we just signed the agreement, the concession agreement, without even people understanding what we have been through in the entire process. Globally, there's apathy towards investment. Apathy towards investment because of the global pandemic. So we should count ourselves lucky to be the first to come up with such a major breakthrough in this environment. And that's exactly where we are. As a state, the transaction is a huge success, both for the people of, both for the vision and for the people of the state. Yes, we have heard of 1 billion naira bonus fee and the 100 million naira on an annual basis, and there has been some simplistic arithmetic that it translates to 3 billion naira and then 4 billion naira ultimately for 30 years. But I can tell you that these people are bringing in investment worth over 28 billion naira. There's going to be a business park. The business park will be a free trade zone. If you realize that we're in a special location where we're a gateway to the southeast. Southeast, on Anambra in particular, between Anambra, between Nnewi, Onitsha, and Asaba, you have a population of well over 3 million people. Onitsha in particular is one of the largest markets in Africa, in West Africa. And they are predominantly traders. Nnewi is the Japan of Africa. They're into spare parts and electronics. So when you realize that most of the containers that land in Lagos, both through cargo air and by sea, also are headed in this direction, and we are just here next door, it is a major savings for them in terms of logistics and costs. And the fact that we're also creating a major business park in this environment as a special economic zone gives room for CKDs, which is exactly what they're doing. And that's yet another business development in that environment. So apart from the job creation, apart from the businesses that will attract, there's a major multiplier effect in this environment. When people look at those, there's no difference between concessioning an airport and concession of roads. If you look at the cost of building major trunk A roads, you will not concession it for those low toll fees that you pay for maintenance of the road. Recovery for it is huge. Government has some components of social contract, and the social contract is to create major infrastructure. And we are happy that we have seen capital mixed with expertise.
Now that's a good breakdown, a good way to really start it. So you touched on revenue partly. I'd like you to maybe talk or take us through more on that, expatiate on that. 30-year duration. Some are even worried that how well have you solidified this deal so that maybe if there's a change of government, maybe there won't be change in the agreement, because we need to stay with all of these agreements so that we can actually get the benefits of it.
For starters, no responsible business organization will get into an agreement without the consent of the House of Assembly.
Good.
Once the House of Assembly gives a seal to it, it's like a force of law. So it's a transaction that is recognized by law in Delta State, and it takes that process to revoke it. And the implications for doing that is huge, and that's the political risk. So we have mitigated the political risk, and the business people have also mitigated the political risk. We are not selling this project. We are bringing people who have the expertise, the right expertise, to manage, control, and develop this airport for a bigger impact and outcome beyond Naira and Kobo. It is not a sale. In fact, after 30 years, the entire development at the park, at the airport, returns back to the state, with or no residual value to the developers. Where you have a Menzies, you have a Rain Oil, you have a Cybernetic, you are good to go as far as we are concerned. And we're particularly happy that we even have a capital or an entrepreneur that is willing to work with specialists in these areas to be able to deliver the goods. 100 million naira in a year is a fair deal to the government. Government is not trying to recover the cost. Government is not selling the cost, just like roads, where, if you like, we are tolling these projects just to align with the street discussion or better understanding of how roads are tolled in Nigeria, and then how collections are made to defray the cost of maintenance and a little bit of it. Government has no expertise whatsoever to run an airport of this size. Besides, this saves government the annual cost of managing the airport. It is a major cost, and then we'll take it out of our books immediately. Whatever revenues that accrue from the concessioning processes is also directed into other very many viable economic activities that government has on its table. Government has a lot of responsibilities beyond the airport. We have done what we should do, created an environment, created the infrastructure. We should move on to human capital development, where we are a specialist in. We're also a specialist in infrastructure. We are moving away from this infrastructure to road infrastructure, to school infrastructure, and increasingly to human infrastructure. Human capital development is human infrastructure. And that is the development of human skills. And that is the direction for the state. The state is on the right path. You heard all the government officials from the Ministry of Aviation commending the process. It is a torturous process to do a concessioning. But unfortunately, our understanding of concessioning here is a giveaway. Now they begin to call personalities. We're lucky that we have good capital come into the system. And for a Menzies to get involved and for a Rain Oil to be involved, it shows that we're increasingly begin to have the credibility.
Yes, allow me take you from there. Just allow me butt in there. I wanted to ask that was my next question, that I wanted you to explain more to us, because we know the main concessionaire is Menzies, but we also have the likes of Airpace, Quorum Aviation Services, Rain Oil and Gas. Can we break this down in terms of agreement so that we know what role we have to play in all of this?
Yeah, first we decided on a master concessioning model. The master concessioning model means that you have to have all the critical subsets, sub-concessionaires, who will provide specialist services.
Good.
Menzies has its own role to play. Rain Oil has A1 jet to provide. Cybernetics, the private jet terminal, and all of that. So they are specialists in their own area, and they have the pedigree. Now, the master concessionaire is just to have an umbrella to reduce administrative inconveniences of government having to deal with 5, 6, 7 independent sub-concessionaires. That is the entire concept of a master concessionaire. And we're happy about that. So two critical things. We are not losing any grip whatsoever in whether the concessionaires, sub-concessionaires are members of the master concessionaires platform, because there's privity of contract in all the arrangements that we have. And we are confident that they will deliver. They can't even change any of those sub-concessionaires without our consent, because they must provide a comparable name that will be acceptable to all before allow any change of any nature. So clearly, we are not shortchanged in any way in terms of monitoring. Now it makes it more administratively convenient for us. And then there's so much, there's going to be a transfer of technology to our people. Because as we talk about menses, we can only bring in key officers from abroad or wherever, but we have people here who will also undergo the entire process. So 30 years down the line, we'll also begin to do a lot of human capital development in this direction. D2 for cargo. If you understand that Onitsha is noted for huge goods, importation of goods, and indeed the export of goods, you will begin to appreciate that our cargo industry here, our cargo section here will be a bank, and the cash flow also speaks in that direction. So here you are with somebody, so with a team of people coming together in their independent positions and contributing to the common good of delivering or performing on an objective to make Asaba International Airport an international airport indeed, and delivering the services plus returns. That's exactly the process.
Well, indeed, it's really impressive, because I've also been through that airport going towards Oka, flew through that airport, and I think it's really strategically located, passenger traffic and cargo and all of that. Now, you talked about job creation, which is key. This would also lead to economic growth and, of course, make the state even a tourism site. What do you make of all of this, the positives for this development?
It is going to be exponential. It's going to be a major multiplier effect. Our people are going to be recruited. Our people are going to be trained. The cornerstone of Governor Kowa's program is job creation, and that's a common trend that runs through every of his thinking. That job creation can be technical, and vocational education can not only be taught in technical colleges. As they undergo the cargo training, as they undergo the maintenance training for aircraft, for checks, several checks by EPIs, as they undergo even management of the park itself, they are also improving on the skills of our people. Over time, we'll begin to export these people outside this country. And we're happy that in 30 years, we should be able to have a proper replacement of whatever that you have today that is imported into the system. And that's exactly what it is.
Mr. Emu, before I let you go, say something. I know Deltans want to hear what they should also expect from this, and even all of us across the country. What more should we expect? Because a lot of reactions have actually trailed this development. But I thank you for this clarity, giving us a professional view to what all of this stands for. What's your message, your parting shot?
My message to Deltans is to be patient as usual. When we started Prosperity for All Deltans, they thought it was a huge joke. They thought it was the similar, same thing over the period. Today they have realized, when we talked about physical infrastructure, well over 1,370.5 kilometers of road have been awarded. 50% of it has been concluded. When 564 kilometers of roads of drains have been established. This airport the runway has been reestablished over the period. We have also embarked on training of the people. We are building primary healthcare centers in all the area, the 25 local government areas in the state. We are improving manpower development in all of these areas. We are paying pension in arrears and all of that. Our salaries are up to date. Some of them are major social contracts. Some of them are developmental in nature. They should be patient. We are going to embark on massive sensitization and advocacy for them to understand. The reason why we brought it down to comparing it with tolling of roads is to let them know that if they see the contract agreement on tolling of major roads, they will find out that it is nothing near cost of constructing those roads. But for you to realize the vision of that road, the intention, and all the appendages as planned, the outcome ultimately will gladden their hearts. I know that Deltans are very literate people. I know that they are very discerning. It may just take a while, but it will sink. Just like issues of infrastructure has sunk, just like job creation issues have sunk, just like contributory healthcare system has sunk, and just like rebuilding of schools and all the allied issues has sunk. Today, our GDP is looking good. Today, our performance in agriculture is looking good. Today, you have peace and stability in the environment, irrespective of the insecurity that is a near national disaster. We're still trying to come back on. Because if you don't create jobs for your people, the pool of unemployed people become available for them to use as willing tools in the hands of criminals and for promoting criminality. Today, they have an option. So if you catch a youth not stealing, he has an option. He has agreed to, he prefers to steal than to work, and the implications are legion for him. So we know that we're on the right track, and we'd like to thank His Excellency for his political will to go through this process. I'm emphasizing political will because he could have gone to bed with it and continued to pick the tab, but he chose the path of honor, and history will pay him dearly for all his foresight in Delta State. All
right, Mr. Kingsley Emu, Chief Economic Advisor to the Governor of Delta State, we would also keep a tab on you, and we'll be getting up-to-date, information with regards to all of these developments, so that we can also inform Nigerians and let them know what's happening in Delta State. Thank you very much for spending your afternoon with us on the show. I really appreciate this.
Thank you.
All right, there from Delta State.